When we last left off, Absalom had slayed his brother Amnon via his servants and had fled to King Talmai the king of Geshur. On this episode, we shall hear the recount of Absalom's return to Jerusalem. Hello, I'm your host Knight Jake, and welcome to Bible Wars. Today's episode begins in the 14th chapter of 2 Samuel. Now Absalom had been in Geshur 3 years, and King David's heart still mourned for his runaway son. Now Joab, the son of Zeruiah, the commander of David's army, devised a plan to have Absalom returned to Israel. Joab hired a wise woman from Tekoa. He told her, "Pretend to be a mourner, and put on mourning garments. Don't anoint yourself with oil, but behave like those who've been mourning for many days. Then go to the king and speak to him what I tell you to say." So the woman came to the king, and fell with her face on the ground and paid homage to him, saying, "Save me, O king." King David was concerned for her, and said, "What is your trouble?" She cried aloud, "Alas, I am a widow. My husband is dead, and I had 2 sons. But they were fighting with one another, and one of them killed the other. And now the whole clan has risen up against the surviving son. They urge me to hand him over to them so that they may execute him. If I were to hand him over, then I would have no sons and no heirs, and the name of my husband would be wiped from the earth." Then David said to her, "Go to your house, and I will give orders concerning you." The woman cried, "Oh no, my king, do not let the guilt fall on you. Let the guilt fall on me, and let the king and his throne be guiltless." But David insisted, "If anyone says anything to you, bring him to me, and he will never touch you again." So the woman cried, "Please let the king invoke the name of the Lord your God, so that the avenger of blood may not kill any more, and that my son may be spared." And so David commanded, "As the Lord lives, no one shall harm a hair on your son's head." Then the woman asked to say one thing to the king, and David permitted her to speak. She said, "Then why do you contradict yourself and not bring your own banished son home?" David was shocked by the woman's comment. Then David asked the woman, "Let me ask you one question, and do not hide anything from me that I ask you." "Of course," said the woman. "Let the Lord the king speak." "Did Joab put you up to this?" inquired David. The woman answered, "As surely as you live, my lord the king, it was Joab who commanded me to come here and to say these things to you." So the king turned to Joab, who was standing there. "Bring Absalom back. This I grant to you." And Joab fell on his face in homage and blessed the king. "Today I know that I have found favor in your sight, in that you have granted my request." So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom back to Jerusalem. But David commanded that Absalom live apart from him in his own house, and not to come into the king's presence. So Absalom lived 2 years in Jerusalem without coming to David. And there was born to Absalom 3 sons and 1 daughter, whom he named Tamar in honor of his sister. After 2 years had passed, Absalom sent for Joab to come and take him to David, but Joab refused to come. So Absalom tried a second time, but Joab still refused to come. So Absalom commanded his servants to set Joab's field of barley on fire. Outraged, Joab came to Absalom and demanded to know why he had burnt his field. Absalom responded, "I sent for you, and you refused to come. I want you to send to the king to ask him why he bothered to bring me here if I am to remain apart from him. It would have been better for me to stay in Geshur. Now therefore, let me go into the king's presence, and if he finds guilt in me, then let him put me to death." So Joab went to King David, and told him all that Absalom had said. And David summoned Absalom into his presence. Absalom came in, and bowed his head to the floor, and the king kissed his son and forgave him. After this, Absalom got himself a chariot and horses and 50 men to run before him. And so he would arise early in the morning, and stand by the gateway to the city. Whenever a man had a dispute and sought the king's settlement, Absalom would stop him at the gate and ask, "From which city do you come?" And when they answered him, he would say to them, "I see that your claims are good and right, but sadly there is no man designated by the king for your city. Oh, if only I was the judge in this land, then every man with a dispute could come directly to me, and I would give him justice." And whenever any man was about to bow down before Absalom, for he was the prince, he would stop them. He would put out his hand, and he would embrace them and kiss them, thus making them equals. And so Absalom did to all those who came to see King David. And in this way, Absalom stole the hearts of the people. And this went on for 4 years until Absalom was ready to rebel. Join us next time as Absalom begins his rebellion against King David. Thank you for watching this episode of Bible Wars. If you enjoy the Bible Wars YouTube series or any of the other work done by the Order of Knight George, you can support us by going over to our Patreon page. I'll leave a link to our Patreon page in the description below. Goodbye, and God bless.